Hey, yo, this is Mboka-Family.
This is Estrelec.
And Said Adams.
And we MCE.
And you tuned in to Kofi Piesie TV.
Word. Believe that.
Well, boys, we hit the jackpot this time.
MCE in the building. Y'all know what time it is. Yeah. Been in my house picking up some weight, cause I wanna cut that 230 down to 208. It's like 230 now, I ain't ate since 208. Hungry than the mug in the kitchen, picking up some weight. A minute, my decision of what I eat is a reflection of what's in me. I take the direction of what's in me. I'm making corrections of what's in me, what's in we. G-O-D, E-O-B, C-E-D until we F-I-E-E-R-B-G until we Cooper Freaky. Work on my conditioning, spite of the condition we in. Unhealthy, it's unhealthy. It don't matter what religion you in, don't matter what tradition you in, don't matter what position I'm in. Positioning myself to be in position of persistence into the years of growing wise and growing old. But time to compromise and comfortable to accomplish just to come and go. Working out machine, come and go to the fair with the friends who only come and go. When the fair with the end is only sleep snow. Outside, we outside hitting the road. Let's go.
I've been working on myself, steady building up my temple. Gains on top of gains, health is wealth, monumental. Eat to living by the code. It's embedded in my mental transformation in the making for myself. I don't resemble. I've been working on myself, steady building up my temple. Gains on top of gains, health is wealth, monumental. Eat to living by the code. It's embedded in my mental transformation in the making for myself. I don't resemble. Shango, Harold, Cootie, Spirit Bowl, on a move, on a go. Kemetic drip, draped in gold. G-O-D, I am the mold. Flipping the script, it's blurring the rhyme. Remember the crib, now I pay for my kind. The hood ain't the same, the weather is strange. Cloud seek with planes, you think it's a game? Build up my immunity. My people war for unity. Your favorite rapper's eulogy. He's selling death to family. The system must dismantle it. Please believe they handle it. This shit gon' burn, candle wick. RBG gon' handle it. 50 in a clip, set up, push up, crunches, dips. Alkaline, my water sip. Trip like Black Star Liner ship. Brethren, Lion Panthers, wild dogs. Speak your peace, sound dog. My regiment be healthy, man. Fruits and veggies, whole grains, you dehydrated. Constipated rappers need a detox. Astronomical precision in alignment, equinox. Flexing my complexion, melanated, lethal weapons. Channel my aggression in myself. I made plenty investments. I've been working on myself, steady building up my temple. Gains on top of gains, health is wealth, monumental. Eat to living by the code. It's embedded in my mental transformation in the making for myself. I don't resemble. I've been working on myself, steady building up my temple. Gains on top of gains, health is wealth, monumental. Eat to living by the code. It's embedded in my mental transformation in the making for myself. I don't resemble.
I'm trying to figure out, I wanna see, can I believe what my mind's telling me? Feel it in my body, feel it in my soul. Do I succumb to it? Do I let go? Foundations falling, no longer hold. Try to stay up, but it's breaking my soul. Don't break my spirit, don't break the mold. Don't leave me hanging out in the cold, cause they wanna see you empty. Even though you got plenty, why they wanna see you lonely? Suffocating down in the deep.
I've been working on myself, steady building up my temple. Gains on top of gains, health is wealth, monumental. Eat to living by the code. It's embedded in my mental transformation in the making for myself. I don't resemble. I've been working on myself, steady building up my temple. Gains on top of gains, health is wealth, monumental. Eat to living by the code. It's embedded in my mental transformation in the making for myself. I don't resemble.
All right. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV. Give it up. All right. Peace to everybody out there in the chat, y'all. Please like and share the show. Please like and share the show. I'm letting you know this is gonna be a great interview. We tried to do this one time before, had some technical difficulties. Man, a few months back, a lot of months back to be exact. So it's great to have my brother back on Kofi Piesie TV on Warrior Scholar Show. And before we get started and let him briefly introduce himself, let me do this. I want to pay a few bills. Well, I'll just throw the book up here. Hold on. If you ain't got this copy, if you don't have a copy, go get your copy of the Modern Day Griots and Griottes, the New Generation. Go get your copy today. It's on Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com. Guarantee, it's full of jam-packed information. Hope it this book inspire, uplift, motivate you to be or to take on the role of a griot, and share that information in whatever capacity or role that you feel as a griot, especially in this day time when we talk about book bans. Also, go get my brother Any Shawn's Cal Funny. He has an article. It's a book to me. So he just put something up to refute the elbow. So it's also on Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com. Go get that. It's $4.99. You know what I'm saying? It's at a low price for a 91-page article, which I say is a book. So go get those things. Continue to support us so we can continue to support y'all and do whatever it is that that we have to do, right? So now let's get into the interview, man. And before I even do this, I was going back and forth, y'all. I was contemplating, was this going to be my entitle in this warrior scholar? Djed Ankh Heka is my 34th guest on the Warrior Scholar Show. And this show, I was going to go into a whole thing about how the Warrior Scholars Show actually got birthed through me interviewing Ankh and Black Panther at the same time. And I titled that show The Warrior Scholar Show. So that show of me interviewing them two birthed the Warrior Scholar Show. And I was going to go into a whole spiel about this was going to be my last show for the Warrior Scholar. I was no longer going to be doing the Warrior Scholar Show, but me going back and forth for a while about it over the week, man, I'm just going to keep it up in the air, man. I may continue to keep these Warrior Scholar shows going on. There's a lot of great people who passed through the Warrior Scholars while I was able to interview them, man. But, it's just up in the air. I may keep it going, man. This interview, my brother here might amp me up to continue on, man, with these interviews on the Warrior Scholar Show, man. Again, please like and share the show. And brother, my good brother, Djed Ankh Heka, could you please let's briefly introduce yourself, man, before we get into the interview, before, just in case people may not know who you are.
Yeah, let me unmute. Peace to you, brother Kofi. Peace to your family. Peace to the Mossy Warrior Clan, and peace to the Kofi Piesie research team. I appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure and a privilege. And after hearing what you just said, I'm doubly honored. Because I didn't know you were planning on stopping these, but yeah. I certainly hope I can do something to keep you doing them because I've enjoyed them. I'm a sbA instructor at the Institute of Kemetic Philology, founded by Dr. Rkhty Amen. And I do a couple of things there. I have a lot of different roles. I'm an instructor. I'm the tutor for the students at all levels. And I'm also the teacher's assistant. So I substitute teach and I aid in the classroom settings and all of that. So I've been studying Medew Netcher all together probably, I don't know, when did I start? I started.
We're gonna get in there. We're
gonna let that be. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Okay. So that's good enough. That's good enough. We'll move on.
Because I got some questions entitled that, which
Medew
Netcher. Okay. All right. So So let's get it. That's why I always try to tell people to briefly introduce themselves, because if I don't, they go right on to some of my questions, man. But you know, like I said, these first three questions is for everybody that normally comes on. These are I ask these same three questions to the people who grace the Warrior Scholar platform on Kofi Piesie TV. So name some of your favorite Warrior Scholars, man. What are some of your favorite Warrior Scholars?
Oh man. I'm where it started for me is I read I'll just do it like that. Chancellor Williams, when he wrote The Destruction of Black Civilization, and that's a powerful book even today. I don't really think it's lost any of its value, even though the scholarship is updated now and everything. That book still has its value as a cultural piece, and also as a good motivator. It was the writing section that he had in that book for me that did it for me. Like when I was, I don't know, it was just something about it, and I think that probably was one of the things that led me to seriously pursue the Medew Netcher. So I have to give him his praise for that. I love John Henrik Clarke, and his work and his lectures, because he asks a lot of really good questions, right? And he's one of those people. It's kind of like, my dad used to always tell me, if you're trying to get the answer to something and in pursuing the answer, you end up with more questions, you did it right, And so, I think he's one of the best examples of that. So I've always thoroughly enjoyed his work. I go back to it often. And let me see some other folks. Here lately, I have to say Ankh Heka, because I refer to his grammar, Medew Netcher grammar book quite a bit, because it's less technical, and the way that he conveys the things that the grammar concepts, he conveys them in a way that's super easy to understand. So, it's like it's your uncle or your dad talking to you, right? And so that's actually a big part of my teaching method. I try to use very plain language and highlight the concept instead of all of the technical jargon, which, we get into that, but I try to just keep it at the concepts and keep that at the heart of it, and because it makes it more practical, let's see, who's some other people, because I'm always trying to think about like what got me started, let me see, who's somebody else I could name that might not be somebody that you'll hear all the time, because all of the ones that we champion all the time, of course, all of them. Who's somebody else? I'd be remiss to not say my own sbAty, Dr. Rkhty Amen and Akinjidi Banachi Montgomery, because they're the ones who prepared me for this part of my journey, the next leg, So, because it's always a continuation, it's never like a destination, So, definitely, and hopefully you could have you could actually have them on your show sometime, man, because their stories are crazy. Like with Rkhty, she was involved in some stuff in her younger days that you might not even think about. But yeah, just some of the stories that she tells me is mind blowing. And so yeah, so those are just a couple. I could be here all day, man. Just on that part,
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Those are some of my Warrior Scholars as well. And while you mentioned Moot Rkhty Amen, here is one of her publications right here, A Life-Centered Life of Ma'at. I think I used this I done wrote so many darn books, man, and co-written so many books with people. I can't remember, but I sourced this material. I can't remember what, but here is another book of hers. Right here, The Written Systems of the Medew Netcher, the Ancient Egyptian Hieroglyphs, by Rkhty Amen. Right. Here's another one here. Then my Djed Wafa right here, conversation book, English to Medew Netcher with hieroglyphs right here. So I support our great elder, I like to say, Awu Aret, She is one of our great elders.
Mhm.
So and ain't nothing. You mean every scholar you name. I'm rocking with those. I'm very familiar with those and read some of their literature as well. And I will be happy to have um her on as well as what is it? I can't never pronounce his name. What is it? Benici? How you say
Um,
it's the
Bonacci.
Bonacci, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So man, let's man, name the last. I want to know. This is my question. I'm nosy. I want to know. I want to know what you read, man. So what is the last book or the book that you are currently reading, man? Well,
Oh man, I'm in the middle of doing writing an abstract for a presentation. So, um, I've been reading a lot of different stuff. Like, I just got this book. I'm gonna hold it up. I don't know if y'all can see it. Whoops. So I just got this book, and basically it's about. It just came out, as a matter of fact, and it's about like the secrets of the structures of the Egyptian structures. Basically, is what the name means in French, and it's not like a spooky book, like kind of how you would think. It's actually talking about how they built things and how different things were put together. So it's speaking on that. You got this book here, the Stones of the Pyramids. This book here, because we got a lot of silliness going on, behind this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And this book, there's a lot of really good information in this book. Yeah. And this one, you can get the PDF for free if you go to the Griots website. So they have a lot of their books in PDFs for free.
you're gonna have to send me the link to that one, man. I
Yeah, I got you.
I definitely
I got you. Yeah, no problem. And at the Desert Fayum reinvestigated. We got a lot of stuff we got to clean up about that Fayum region too. So I love like the archaeology and stuff like that too, And the further down in Africa you go, I love that stuff. This book doesn't have the cover, but the name of it is The Ostrich Communal Nesting System. This is probably the best book. It came out back in the 70s, but still it's pretty much still the best book on the ecology of the ostrich. So just trying to understand Ma'at, this is a book that everybody should get, if you want to understand it, from the source, like that. I've also been reading this book. It's called The Wildlife Techniques Manual. It's a book on research methods for studying wildlife, right? And any book on any type of thing that you're into, if it has books like this, if it's research methods books, I always tell people that's the first place to start when you're studying something. Start with the research methods books, because when you get into the journal articles and stuff like that, you'll know what they're talking about. And you have to always start with a method, and that's where a lot of people tend to go wrong, because they don't really have a method. They just read things. And,
say it again. And that people don't understand that, man. People, because we talk about it all the time. We talk about methods. We talk about methodology. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people, like you say, they go into things and don't have reading things and don't have a method behind them reading things. Or, so I'm glad that you mentioned that, man. So
it's no question. Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes you kind of have to slow down, right? And understand what's happening, what you're dealing with. And any type of like those research methods books, a lot of them are college textbooks, right? So, it's good to have those. Also, this one, Rudolph Cooper, Wadi Surah, The Cave of Beasts. This particular series of books I really, really love. And this book is crazy. Like, let me see if I can open it up. Like, it's got like, it has like these oversized images like this, and it's like you fold it out, right? And you put it together, you can spread it out on a table, and it has like this graph here like this, and it gives you like the dimensions of the actual like cave paintings and everything. And you know, so as you go through it, they have close-ups of them and stuff like that. And, you know, that it's just, this is important for me as a sesh, because there are elements of the scribal tradition that we actually see in these cave paintings, right? So a lot of that stuff was still in play throughout the entire history of Kemet when it comes to scribal tradition. I'd also be remiss if I didn't hold up some of the Masi books, you know, which I actually have a couple of them right here on the desk. I have the one that just came out. I haven't started reading it yet. I have brother Chavis his joint. I just actually started reading this one. I haven't quite finished it yet, but that's the one I'm reading now. And last week I finished reading Brother Black Panther's book about African spirituality. This was an excellent read too. I really enjoyed that.
That's one thing I can say, man. I appreciate you, bro. Everything that we done put out, bro. You've been a great supporter of ours, and not only why I'm saying I appreciate you for purchasing our material, because we put out a lot of stuff, and I always see that name Lamar come across there. So you always supporting us, and not only that why I'm saying that because you supporting us, but you also reading, right? And then you give us good feedback. You will hit me on the text or whatever we talk. You will let me know, man, you read it, man, and you appreciate the read. So or whatever it is, man, I just, or you would just say something that just let me know that you bought the book, and your intent was not only to buy the book to support us, but also read the book as well. So I just love that, because I always be wanting feedback. And a lot of times people will buy our books and I don't never know. Some people will give us some, but majority of the time people will purchase the books and I never know, and the group never know if they read the book or not, because that's the only way that we are able to get better. If once you purchase and you read these books, what I'm saying, we wait on these reviews. We wait on your feedback, what I'm saying, whether it's good or bad. So if it's things that that we may need to fix, or it may be some things that we may need to look into, or some things that we may need to update, man, it's good for that. So I'm just saying that I just appreciate that. Not only that you supporting, that you're reading and you letting us know that, hey man, I got these publications and I'm picking them up and reading them. So I appreciate you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've learned a lot from y'all. Just in reading you guys' material and stuff. Like, I know you guys can't see it, but like I have a whole section right here with y'all stuff on it, right? And is not a bad problem to have, but y'all put out, like the Masi Warrior Clan put out a book every 17 days. You know what I mean?
No, we don't do it.
So yeah, for somebody that like to read, that ain't a problem for me. You know what I mean? So I enjoy your material. I also got Brother Shawn's the paper you were talking about, right? I bought that the other day. Y'all go get that, man, because I'm telling you, for the subject matter, the people on the other side of the argument, it ain't looking good. I'm gonna tell you that now. I just do it like that. It ain't looking good, bro.
Right. Sir. But yeah, man. So my next question is, a lot of people that come on a Warrior Scholar, not everybody, but majority of the people that come on, they have these names, these elaborate names, and these elaborate names are connected mostly to Africa, you know what I'm saying, connected to their cultural heritage and traditions, or connected to their cultural roots, right? So your name is Djed Ankh Heka. Can you explain what do your name mean to the listening audience out there?
Yeah. Djed Ankh means the enduring nature in life, and Heka Ra means the powerful utterance of Ra. And when I chose my name, I wanted it to mean something. I just didn't want to have it be something that's just fly or whatever, right? So, the Djed Ankh part I had for a while since I was younger, because I read this story about this guy. They call him a magician, even though that's not a proper term. But his name was Djed Ankh, right? and he was a wise man. He was like he was counsel to the Nisut. And so he got into a situation where they were going down on a boat, and they were going down to Hopi on a boat. And there was a woman who was, they had all women rowing the boat because they wanted to demonstrate the power of the women in Kemet, right? So one of the oars slipped and hit her in the head, and she had a brooch on her head. Yeah, Sinet Kepera says Seneferu. Yeah, that's who the Nisut was in the story. But the brooch comes off her head. It goes in the water. So they trying to, so Seneferu kind of tells you, he's like, don't worry about it. I'll get you another one when we get back. And so, she was like, no, I want that one. It can't be replaced. It's special to me. So he couldn't figure out how to get it. So he gets John Monk to come down and do it. And he stands out on the thing and he does Heka and parts the water. He does another Heka and the boat goes down. And then she hops down and gets it. They get it back in the boat. He does another one. The boat goes back up, and then he does another one. And, he puts the water back together. So from reading that story, what I got from it is I wanted to put myself in a position at some point in time where I could help people. Right. And I knew that meant that I had to study. Right. And, you kind of have to throw yourself into the things that, you have to study. Like, and you know what I'm talking about, brother. It's like, you have your life things that you do, but then, there's times where you're just in the books. Right. And you have to dedicate yourself to that. So that story resonated with me that way because of the knowledge he accumulated, he was able to help somebody, and the Heka Ra part, even my whole name, really, it's a testament and a tribute to my great grandmother, because she raised me. Like, even now, like when somebody says the word God, right, like her face is what pops up in my mind. Right. And she's been gone. She's an ancestor. She's been gone for a little over 20 years, but she was everything to me. So, so if you look at it to my name, she was the enduring elements in my life, and she was the powerful utterance in my life. You know what I mean? Because everything I did revolved around her, like the sun. Right. So even within that, like, my name is basically, it's a tribute to her. And and
that's dope. That's dope, because the same thing when you said, when the word God, you mentioned the word God, right? So when I look at, like, I tell people all the time, the first God I ever seen was my mother and my grandmother, because my grandmother raised me at the age of 5. I went to go stay with my grandmother at the age of 5. And my grandmother raised me until I was 18 years old, right? And so when I'm saying that and people look at me like that, I say my mother was the one who brung me into this world. My mother was the one who was to nourish me back to health when I was sick. My woman was the one who was to put food in my stomach when my belly was empty. My mother was the one who taught me my name. My mother and my grandmother, let me say, my mother and my grandma taught me how to identify with the opposite sex of them, which was my father and my grandfather, right? So these were the first gods that I ever seen. So, so I'm glad you said that, because that's like with me when I mentioned, and I say that, the first God I met was my mother, and second was my grandmother, right? These were the one who taught me. These was the one who nourished me back to health. These were the one who feed me. These were the one who guided me. These were the one who protected me, right? So, I'm glad that you mentioned that, man.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I mean, you think about it, man. Like, I didn't have lungs until my mama gave them to me, right? So, I mean, and she was my first protector. I was in her body, and I didn't have to worry about nothing. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it, right?
Right.
So, and I got everything I needed, and the first breath I took was because of her. So, I owe her everything. I owe, my great grandmother everything. So what I do is just because of the sacrifices that they made, because that's how it is. When you do anything that's great, you don't do it on your own. I don't care what people tell you. They'll say all kinds of things, but you standing on somebody's shoulders that that prepared the way for you, right? So when I do what I do, I always think about that, and it's important to me.
For sure, for sure. All right, man. So for those who may not know, but they should know, what is the Medew Netcher and what is Rkhty Kemet? Because I'm asking that twofold question is because
Okay.
a lot of times people get the writing system and they get the language mixed up, right? So
Right.
so can you explain to the listening audience what is the Medew Netcher and what is Rkhty Kemet?
Okay. Yeah. Medew Netcher there's a lot of different ways you can translate it, but it generally means divine inscriptions, sacred writings, and if you want to say Netcher words, that's okay too, right? And it's basically the name of the writing system itself. Now, when you talk about Rkhty Kemet, they're talking about spoken language, right? Yeah, and we don't really know how it sounds because the vowels are missing in the script, and we're so far removed from the language that we really don't know how the words sounded. Some people will try to tell you that they do, because I hear a lot of wild stuff. I hear people talking about how they reconstructed the vowels and they know exactly how it sounds. You have to avoid people like that, right? But because when they start talking to you about what they can do, they never demonstrate it, right? So you just have to kind of know to leave that where it is. But yeah, the two things, even though we kind of use the term like, I study the language, right? There's two different elements to that, right? So you have the writing system and then you have the spoken part of the language, So at the school, we do both, right? So because Rkhty is, she has a master's degree in linguistics. So I've learned a lot about that aspect of it from her. So and she's written some stuff on certain aspects of it and everything. She's got like papers and stuff out there. But yeah, you have to divide it between like the writing system is one thing and the actual language is another.
So you said moot, and I use the term moot for people that may not know what moot is, because when we said moot Rkhty Amen, right? So what does moot mean for those who may not be listening or may not be familiar with the Medew Netcher? And
okay, moot means mother, and because that's pretty much what she is to me. There's a part of me that she gave birth to, so I give her the proper respect, and I refer to her as that, and I call her that like in our private conversations. Sometimes she'll call me and I'll be like, "Tell mama how you doing," and she ain't never told me, "Hey, don't call me that. Like, what's wrong with you?" You know what I mean? So that's just the relationship we have, yeah.
And and I didn't know that for a long time. I didn't know, and for people that may not know, man, she's I would say, a multilinguist, right? She's not only studied the Medew Netcher, but what she knows what I think, what is it, French, Greek, I can't remember, but it's multiple languages that Rkhty Amen knows. So I only thought that she just only specialized in the Medew Netcher, but man, when I looked and seen a long list of other other languages, what I'm saying, I was like, wow, that made me put her on a more high pedestal, because she's doing it she is the only woman I know that's doing it on a high level that she's been doing it on for all these years, because she's been doing this for since the late 80s, early 90s, right?
Yeah, she's been at it for a while, bro. Yes. I think she was first started teaching, I think, like in the early 80s. And then but she got her own school like later. But yeah, she aside from Medew Netcher, she knows French, German, she knows Hebrew and Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah, Mandarin Chinese. Yep, that's what it was, man. She's a beast. She's a beast. So what now? I'll go back to, let me see if I want to, because that's one of my questions I kind of want to go into about Rkhty. But let me see. Should I go into it since we already on her? Let me see. Well, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Well, no, we'll go back to that. We'll go back to that because this is something I wanted to know too. What sparked your interest in studying Kemet and learning about the writing script? Because I'm interested. I'm interested is because you tried this before, and when you was in college, right? You tried this
Yeah,
before. I
yeah.
think I read you tried it in college, but it didn't work out until after you got out of college. So when
Yeah.
you was in college, what sparked you to say, "Hey, man, you in college for something else, but you say, man, I want to devote my time and trying to learn about Kemet and learn about the writing script, man." So, yeah, talk us about that, man. What sparked you in college?
Yeah, that's I'm gonna go back to a little before that, well, way before that, back to when I was in my formative years. When I was young, I didn't really get into Kemet till later, right? Because when I was young, we watched a lot of like educational TV. So PBS was constantly on in my house, and I have to think, my mother, my great grandmother, and my great uncle, we lived in a house together. Also, when you hear me talk about my dad, that's who I'm talking about because he raised me like I was his son. So I have to honor him for that, right? Because that's what he was to me. And I was always allowed to kind of explore who I was as a person, right? So at the foundation of that was, my grandma told us, she just told me like, yo, yeah, we Christians and we go to church, we do all of that, right? But you're African, right? And she would always stress that, right? So, and just that particular part of myself, I was never forced to deny it, like in the house, you know what I mean? So, I was always allowed to explore that part of myself. So, I took an interest in Africa really early on, but what did it for me? Hold on one second. I'm gonna show you if I can reach it here. Oh, that one hit the floor. But we were watching PBS, and the Mnganji dancers.
Oh yeah,
yeah, man, that did it for me, right?
That's a nice piece too, brother. That's a nice piece.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I got a set of them. I got from where did I get them from? I think they came from Cameroon. I think, but yeah, when I saw them, and it just blew my mind, right? And I was like, man, I have to know what is that. So then, my dad told me, he basically was like, I'll explain it to you like this. Sometimes there's people that are invested in how you turn out and how you grow up and what kind of person you become, right? Some of those people you can see and some of them you can't, right? And so he was like, how do you feel about that? And I was like, makes me feel good. I ain't got no problem with it, And so, so I just like wanted to learn as much as I could learn about that. Then of course, you know how it is, brother. You learn about one thing and then you want to learn about something else, right? So early on, I had that African foundation, and especially when my grandma was telling me about where our people came from and stuff, and she told me that the earliest ancestor that we know about is from the 1700s, and she came here from like that part of Africa, like where the Congo meets like the Great Lakes regions. Like somewhere up in there is where she came from, right? And so you're talking about like the Hopi River people, and then you're talking about like the Congo River people and all of that. So, and then I have a lot of like West African admixtures. So as far as I'm concerned, those Hopi River people, Congo River people, the Niger River people, like those are all my people, right? And it's the greatest thing that she ever did for me, was giving that to me, And so later, we were watching something and they were actually talking about the writing, right? And so as they're talking about it, they're showing pictures. And so it blew my mind because some of the stuff that was on the walls, I could recognize them. So I was like, oh, that was a quail chick, because where I grew up at, they were quail all in the woods and everything else. My people used to hunt quail and stuff like that. So, just the idea that you could convey information with images of things that you see in nature, that just blew my mind, dude, because I've always been like a nature lover.
Mm.
So I told them, you know, I was like, look, one day I'm gonna learn how to do that. And then when I get older and I get a job and get some money, we're gonna get on a plane. I'm gonna take y'all over there and I'm gonna read the stuff to you. Right.
Mm.
And, you know, they never made me feel like I couldn't do it. You know, it was, you know, they was like, well, you know, if that's what you want to do and you're willing to put the work in, you can do it, you know. And, you know, even now, like I hear that in my head, you know, because just like we all do, man, we all have moments where we have self-doubt and all that kind of stuff, right? So just thinking about those conversations that we had when I was young, it keeps me going sometimes, you know. And, you know, it gets you back on track, you know what I mean? Because you know what you're doing it for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I wasn't able to really learn the language before all of them transitioned, but I went to Kemet and, you know, I took a picture of them with me. And, you know, when I went to see the pyramid text and stuff, you know, I took pictures with their picture there amongst the writing. And so it was like I was ultimately able to do in some way what I told them I would.
Mm.
You know? Yeah. So when I was in college, you know, you start working and, you know, you got a little extra income and stuff. Cause, you know, when you're in college, you know, you broke all the time. Right. So that's just a part of it. So I was like, that was when, let me see. I actually have it here. Hold on one second.
Yeah. While you do that, I'm gonna pull this up here.
It was. Okay.
Hold on, Sister Sarita.
Yeah, that's the shelf with my
I seen
my grammar books and stuff.
You put this up here. Hold on, real quick. I just wanted to put this up here. As a learning lesson. Sister Sarita, I was just strolling back through the comments. I was texting kind of fast because I'm trying to do 2 or 3 things at one time. Trying to text. I'm trying to listen to my brother. I'm trying to get my thoughts together to answer as well. And I called my sister or brother, right? I said, hotel, my good sister Sarita, right? That's what I was conveying to say. But I left off the feminine T on there. Sin means brother. Sinet means sister, right? So I didn't put that feminine T on the end of it. So I want to apologize on a Nefer. So I just want to apologize for calling you brother. You could have corrected me, Sister Sharita Patterson, in there, but I just wanted to throw that up there. And that's could, you know, and then this could be as a learning lesson too. You know, I was going real quick and I went back. I said, Lord, I done called a sister a brother.
Yeah. That's my sister. I'm glad she was able to come. Y'all should check out her YouTube channel. It's called The House of Seshat. She does translations on there and history stuff and all of that. So and also too,
I'm about to get that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something else too. We need more sisters studying this language. You know, yeah, we definitely do. It's mostly us that study it, but we definitely need more sisters doing it. You know, but yeah, this is the first book I bought when it first came out. I think it was like about $70 or $80, and this is the one I still have it. And so I bought it and I started going through it because there was nowhere around here. So I live in Richmond, Virginia, but I'm from North Carolina. So there's no place in either one of those places where I could actually learn this. So it was either I do this or I don't do it, right? Because I didn't know about, you know, Mood School, which at the time they were doing it like on a phone call. You would call a number and they would do it like that, right?
Yep.
So I didn't know about that. I knew who she was, but I didn't know about that. So I was like, well, I can try to do this. I mean, because I was in college, I couldn't pay for the classes, no way at the time. So I was like, okay, well, let me try this. And it didn't work out because, you know, I had to finish my degree program and everything like that. And I was working my way through school and everything. So I just couldn't devote the time to it. So what ended up happening is after I graduated, and then I had put it away for a while, and then because that was like around 97, 98. And then my grandmother died in 2002. My mother died in 2003, and my dad died in 2004. And I just felt like, you know, I just kind of like didn't even think about it anymore because, you know, this is like the 3 people that mean the most to me in the world and they're gone, right? So I was trying to figure my life out at that point and what I was going to do. And then once I got my head together and got straight again, I was like, okay, I think I can do this. It took some doing because some life stuff happened, and we talking about like this is around 2014. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm not stopping this time. Right. So I couldn't find this book. So I went down to the museum. The museum's a couple miles down from my house. So I had some resource materials. I had a dictionary, I had sign lists and all of that. And so I was like, I'm not going to buy another one of these. I'm going to just do what I got to do. And so I was doing like what I call guerrilla translating, where you basically just look at the words and figure out what the words are, and then you try to put it together. At first, that's what I was doing. I don't recommend that for anybody.
You know,
Right?
I took Saber Wujao Iri Ma'at class back in 2015. There was a class on Corsica, and it was provided by the institution of it's in London too. What is one of those big no, it was a museum in London. Oh, I can't think of the name of the museum, but they actually provided a class on there for Corsica, right? And they had some instructors on there. And that is basically what you're talking about. That is basically how they was training and instructing and teaching people on that Corsica thing that they had. But you know, to come to find out that you know that wasn't even correct. And I said, wow, these guys in this big museum, supposed to be famous museum, and these white instructors are having this Medew Netcher class. And I don't even know if they was worded in Medew Netcher at the time. I think it was ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic class or something in that format. But that's exactly how they was teaching it in that guerrilla format that you state.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't champion that for anybody, man. And you know, good thing that happened was, you know, my vocabulary got good because I was constantly looking up words and I was familiar with the primaries, right? So that skill ended up helping me later, but I could have cultivated that, you know, just getting under a teacher sooner, right? So then I was just like, man, I just need to get under a teacher. But in the subsequent period between that, you know, I got better because, you know, I got more materials and stuff like that, but I just kind of felt like something was missing, right? And so when I got under the teacher, and that was it. And what I needed, going back to the method, right? I needed that method. And when I got into school, like Baba Banachi, you know, he teaches the beginner's course. And I affectionately refer to his classes as Banachi Boot Camp, because that's exactly what it is. Like you literally hit the ground running, right? And he whips people into shape real quick. And in a lot of cases, it's like a make it or break it type thing, right? But it's exactly what I needed, you know, because in the way he teaches, like a lot of it too is like, because he teaches that, and then Rkhty teaches the intermediate and the advanced. So in order to get to her, you got to get through him first, right? So by the time you get ready to go to the intermediate, you have everything you need. And pretty much when you finish his class, you can go into a museum and read like the basic pieces with no problem, right? So, and it was a structure that I needed, because like that was the first experience I had with education where I felt good about what I was doing. I felt good about the teachers. I felt good about the material. I felt good about my involvement in it and my classmates. And keep in mind, I got a college degree, man. And this is the first time I had all of that come together, right? So, you know, it was a wonderful experience, and I'm glad that I made the decision to get under a teacher. And when you've been studying on your own, what happens is, you know, when you get under a teacher, you know, you get better quickly.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because you know, you have the method that fills in the gaps. So, you know, you'll be like, man, you know, it's taking me too long to translate this. Like, what do I it's got to be a better way, and then you get under a method and it's just like bam, 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 you know. So yeah, it was one of the greatest decisions I've ever made.
So you keep talking about method, right?
Mhm,
And I struggle with the method too in the beginning because
mhm,
I took Wujao Irima Arts class in
mhm,
2015, and Wujao is also was a student of Moot Rkhty Amen. He, that's why when you was talking
mhm,
about when she was doing the classes over the phone, when we was having class in 2015, he was telling us the same thing that,
mhm,
when he took her class, they was doing it over the phone at that time. He don't know
mhm,
what's the method or the way or the process that she's doing it now. But when he took the class, that's what he was using. And before then, I was just lost
mhm,
and I didn't
mhm,
understand. So it's a method. So there are there are people in real time that look just like us that know how to literate and translate those
mhm,
glyphs, as we would say, or the Medew Netcher off of the walls of those different attestations or seals. Uh, uh, we can do that in real time, right? A lot of people don't know that we don't have to rely on a Wallace Budge or P. Allen or Faulkner or all these other guys that
mhm,
came up. We actually can go in and transliterate and translate it into the target language that we're actually speaking now. And that is because of a method that you keep talking about, right? So
mhm,
can you break down a simple method of doing that? Because people don't believe. Well, at one point, people don't believe. I'm a member of a group, the sbAty Medew Netcher, and
mhm,
we formulated that group. Formulated it was my class members. One of the individuals in the class, he had no social media presence, so it was hard for us to get a hold of him. So he was the only person in that
mhm,
class that was not a part of the sbAty Medew Netcher, which we were the warriors of Ma'at before we
mhm,
wanted and named a real name that come out of Kemet or Egypt. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
So
mhm,
um, so that class became that. And I again
mhm,
I didn't understand that method until I got up under the teacher, right? So there are
mhm,
steps or methodology that you follow, that can help you able to transliterate these glyphs and which way to read it because
mhm,
um reading, we read from what? We read from right to left, right? But but in the Medew Netcher, you can read from right to left, you can read from left from right, you can read from right to left horizontal, you can read from right to left vertical, you can read from left to
mhm,
right horizontal. So kind of break that method down for people, you know what I'm saying? Because we on here, we know what we're talking about, you know what I'm saying? We don't have to rely on people. So, conversation beats demonstration all the time. So just break that method down
mhm.
for that. I know what you're talking about, but the listening
Yeah,
audience may not know.
yeah, no problem. Matter of fact, can I share my screen?
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Okay, all right. Because we just did a workshop, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up um, part of the slideshow from the thing. Hold on, let me find it real quick. Okay. All right, so I'll go back to um, okay. So okay. All right. It's grayed out for me to share. Like, do you have to activate something to make it where I can share?
Edit my settings, kick out the studio. No, it should be. You should be able to share. If you can send it to my email real quick, I'll just grab it from my email and put it in there. I got my email up. But I don't know why you shouldn't. At the bottom, you don't see. Hold on. Um, hold on. 'Cause I'm lost now. Settings. Okay. Hold on.
So I think it was something on my end, as I think I may have. Let's see.
Yeah, because I would show like for you to demonstrate whatever you feel do.
Yeah, because so yeah.
Shawn, how do I
was,
share a screen? Shawn, it's been a minute. How do I share a screen? Shawn said, hold on. I think I got it. Oh, he done clicked himself out of here. He should be right back in, y'all. There you go.
Yeah. So let me see. We'll go back and let's try it now.
Let's see. That's my screen. Hold on. So how do I share a screen, Shawn? Because it's been a minute. I hit okay, screen sharing cancel. Make sure to click share on the module and not cancel. Okay, click on his share screen. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to see. Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to say clicking on your share screen, but do you see the present button at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, click the present button at the bottom. Click the present button at your bottom, and it's gonna say share screen.
Okay.
Where you'll see the mic, you see mute, stop cam, setting, present.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just hit present, and once you click present, it's gonna take you at the bottom. It's gonna say screen share. You click screen share to start sharing your screen.
Okay. So let's see. All right. Share screen. It's looking like it won't let me come in. It's saying that my browser's blocking my screen. So I'm gonna exit out. I'm gonna try to come in on Chrome and see if that helps.
Okay.
All right.
So he'll be right back. So because I want to show, conversation beats demonstration all the time, right? So we can see exactly in real time people who are transliterating and translating the glyphs. He is in sbAty, which means teacher. He's an instructor, right? So I just want to, show y'all in real time that people can do this. We actually can do this. A lot of people have conversations and say that they can transliterate and translate the Medew Netcher, and then when they're put to the test, and something popped up there they can't demonstrate. Hold on one second. All right, this Shawn. What up, Shawn? Shawn. Okay. All right.
Okay, so I'll share. Yeah.
Shawn, he's on here too. So
okay.
So if you need some help, he's a master. I don't go live. It's too much often anymore.
Peace, bro. Peace, everybody. I was just here, man,
peace,
for technological support. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Yeah.
So what do you need to do?
Oh. You was on mute, but now I hear you.
Okay, what do you need to do? What we need to do? Can you hear me, Shawn?
Okay. I think I got it now.
Okay, yeah, you got it. Hold on. Here you go, right here. Let me add to the stage.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right, there you go. All right, I'm hopping off now. You got it.
Okay.
Appreciate it, son.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, it was I had opened this thing up in the Microsoft joint. I should have opened it up in Chrome. But basically what we're gonna do, I'll just do it like this. So where we normally start with is like what is grammar, right? And the grammar of a language basically is just the relationship between the words and phrases that make up its array of conceptualization. So we tend to focus on the relationships, right? And if you understand that words in a sentence have relationships, it's easier to grasp the grammar. So the basic verbal construction is, you'll hear people say Medew Netcher is a VSO language, which is, in a fundamental sense, that's correct. But, so you have the verb, subject, object, and then the preposition or preposition phrase. So, and the thing that throws people is that when you're learning this stuff in school, when you're learning English, they kind of give you a glimpse of it. But, Barbara Bonacci says all the time, it's like nobody ever tells you, hey, you might want to learn another language one day. So you kind of need to focus on this stuff, right? So what ends up happening is it always ends up coming back to haunt people, right? When you're trying to figure this stuff out, you kind of have to learn it all over again. So like I said, I try not to use like a bunch of like big words and stuff when I'm communicating the concepts to people. I try to keep it real simple. But like, like when we say like the verb is an action, the subject is a noun that commits an action, an object is the recipient of an action, and a preposition is a word that creates noun phrases and relationships between different elements in the sentence. Now, I'll give it to them like this, but then basically I just do it like, I'll do it like this, right? And then so when they ask me like, what is a verb is doing something. A subject is what do it. The object is what it get done to, and the prepositions put stuff together. That's really easy to understand, right? So it's actually giving you something that you can visualize and you don't have to filter it through words, right? You know what I mean? Like, or what a word might mean or what this is. It's just very direct and to the point. So that's how I try to do it. Now, the verbal system, of course, you just have those 4 main elements. And everything happens in a Medew Netcher sentence at the behest of a verb, like everything. So the stuff that comes after is acting on behalf of the verb, right? And so when you're translating, besides having the right cultural lens, command of the verbal system is like, that's like the meat and potatoes of a good translation, right? If you struggle with the verbal system, you're gonna have a lot of problems trying to understand this language. So like, this is like the C spot run of Medew Netcher, right? This is like the first sentence you learn, right? Weben Ra Impet, the sun rises in the sky. And then there's a
Hey, hold on. Hold on. You mentioned quail chick, right? You mentioned the quail chick. So I'm looking to my left. I see the quail chick. I have never in my life until I started learning the Medew Netcher, learning those different, I'm studying those different images, so I'm looking at the Gardener codes, and this Gardener code G such and such quail chick, right? So I'm like, quail chick, I said it looked like a little chicken before. So you saying you seen a quail chick? I've never ever seen a quail chick in my life, bro. So you said they're just running around in your backyard. So.
Yeah, bro. Like I was fortunate because, well, number one, like the owls and stuff too. Like I seen all that stuff all my life because I grew up on a river basin, right? So, with the quails and stuff, they were always in the woods around the house because my family, we got 10 acres, like, and it's back off the highway. So, it's kind of its own little thing back there. So, we had crops and we had livestock and all of that stuff. So, and the funny thing about the quail chick, because it's how you designate the plural at the end of a word, right? You terminate it with a quail chick.
Yeah,
right. Now the funny thing about that, and I tell my students this too, is that you have 3 in the plural, but then that you have 9, which is like a plural of a plural, right? And when people ask me why did they pick the quail chick for that, I suspect that the reason why is because when a quail has a brood of chicks, the average number is 9, right? So whenever she has that brood, she's usually going to have 9 chicks. Sometimes it's 4 or 5, sometimes it's 15, but usually it's 9. So you have that plural of a plural built into that symbol.
So let me ask you a question then,
Yeah.
because this makes sense after I read this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says on your bio, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says that I can't exactly remember, but you study for you to get for you to have a better understanding of the Medew Netcher.
Mm-hmm.
You study natural phenomenons. You
Right.
study
Mm-hmm.
animals and stuff, and I see you have a
Right.
lot of books that deal with nature, right? That deals with
Mm-hmm.
things in nature and natural phenomenons within nature, right?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
just off the rip, because I've been, like I took the class in 2015, been doing it since 2015, but never put
Mm-hmm.
it together or explained it like you explained when we're talking about the quail chick, right?
Mm-hmm.
The quail chick on the end, makes a word plural, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
one Monica Gunra, she put TU. TU means
Mm-hmm.
yes, right? But she
Mm-hmm.
put TIU, which
Mm-hmm.
some people use the U. Some
Mm-hmm.
people use the TIU, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying, are we saying duau? They just say duau.
Mm-hmm.
And duau, it has the quail chick at the end of, or just whatever you're phrasing your sentence and you're making it a
Mm-hmm.
plural, right? You're using the quail chick at the end. I never heard it explained like the way you explain it, as far as the quail chick having multiple chicks and the number 9, and basically that's what. So that right there giving me a better understanding right now of why they use the quail chick to pluralize whatever they're trying to pluralize at the end. So that just makes sense, for me, from when I read what you read, and even just seeing some of the books that you have and some of the books you already put up that actually dealing with nature,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
things within dealing within nature. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it comes natural for me because, like I said, I grew up around all this stuff. So, I'm a country boy just like you. Some of y'all can probably hear it. Living in Richmond, I get a lot of flack sometimes for my accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's the thing that I was drawn to the most, and I just wanted to maximize my time studying it. So I just applied myself to the other stuff about the natural world that I know, and so that's why I focus at, like, I'm and everybody kind of has their own thing, right? And we need everybody doing everything, brother. Like how you guys focus on like West Africa and stuff like that. We need people doing that. Africa is a big place,
Yes.
and we need to know as much as we can about it. Like, I got a whole continent I got to cover, right? With the area that I study, So yeah, it definitely takes time, and we need everybody doing everything, man. So we got the basic nonverbal construction, which is the same way. There's just that there's no verb, right? So where
And
we tend
what way? Excuse me, just for
yeah.
'cause I'm following you, but what way?
Mhm.
Okay, for the listening, well, the people who actually are looking at this right now, we
Mhm.
talked about. I mentioned we read now when we're reading something, we read from right to left, but in the Medew Netcher, you can read right to left, left to right to left horizontal, right to left
Mhm.
vertical, left to right horizontal, left to right vertical, right? So
Mhm.
we're looking at this picture right here. So where will you be reading this from? Will you be reading it from left to right or right to left for people, so people can be following exactly
Right.
what's going down?
Yeah, we usually the materials in like the dictionaries, grammar books, and everything else is usually positioned from left to right because that's how we read in English.
Right.
So that's what we have here. And actually, let me go to. I got a slide on that. Let me go to it real quick. Okay. I'm gonna stop here real quick. One of the things that Baba tells us all the time is that translation is not word substitution, right? And that's what, and that kind of perplexes a lot of people because you're not just translating something and switching words out, because it's not about getting word for word, it's concept for concept, right? And it's a little different, that's why certain words, when you try to translate them into English and you use the standardized translation, it doesn't quite work, from an African perspective. But let's go. Did I do? Let me see. Wait a minute. Let me go back because I don't think I took it out. Let me go back because I got a slide up here for what you were talking about. I thought I did. Maybe I took it out. Oh no, here it is right here. Okay. Like the reading order and direction. So you can read in 2 directions and then there's 2 variations, right? So you have left to right, horizontal or vertical, and then you have right to left, horizontal or vertical, right? A lot of times when you're reading the material, they'll tell you there's 4 ways, 4 directions. I tend to just say that there's 2 and then there's 2 variations. It's easier to understand, right? And usually what I do personally is when you're trying to determine which side of a piece that you're going to start on, like I look for the birds, right? Because it's the easiest thing to kind of spot. The birds and the human figures are like the easiest thing to spot, right? So it's almost kind of, so it's like you're having a conversation. So if it's right to left, you're going to start here because it's like if you start here, it's like you're facing the elements here. They're facing one way and you're facing another. So it's like having a conversation. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the way I do it. But usually, and you know how it is, you've been doing it long enough, you can kind of look at a piece and just tell because you're just used to doing it. You know what I mean? Yep. But so when I give museum tours, that's usually how I explain it to them and stuff. But and I'll go through this right here real quick. And then we go to the next thing. This is kind of like the way that we do it as far as the research method. We work together, right? So even in the class, it's important that everybody works together. And even when we have multiple teachers in a class, we work together too. So it's a group effort, And number 2, being wrong is actually useful. When you're trying to figure out something and you find out you're incorrect, that's useful because you've eliminated a possibility, right? So it's not something about where you have to kind of you got to get everything right all the time. That's never the point. If you find out something is incorrect, it actually gives you an opportunity that being correct doesn't, because now you can go back and revisit it again. Because when you're correct about, you see what I'm saying? So it's useful, right? When you use it properly, right? So there's nothing wrong with being wrong, right? Hey, if you find out you're wrong, commit to it. And what I mean by that is you don't want to go back and forth like, well, it could be this, or, maybe it's this, but then I think again, now it might be this. You got to decide on something, right? You can't keep going back and forth on it, because if you're just going back and forth on it, we can't get to the point where we can fix it. Like you have to commit to an answer, even if it's incorrect. You're in a learning environment. So we're gonna help you get the answer so it's okay, right? And sometimes people don't speak up because they don't want to be wrong, and because they think they're gonna be penalized for being incorrect. And it's like, man, dude, come on. Anybody who studies anything, you're gonna have things you're correct about, and then there's some other stuff you got to look at again. That's just a part of the process. Everybody does that. Number 3, I don't know. It's a great answer, because once you can say I don't know, you free your mind up to all of these different possibilities, right? And saying I don't know it doesn't mean you're not serious about what you're doing. It doesn't mean you don't know a lot. It just means you don't know. Like there's nothing wrong with that. The whole point of us studying the way we do is because we don't know stuff, right? Like that's going to always be the case, right? That you don't know something, Number 4, take notes and ask questions, because that's the foundation of everything that you do. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, you're going to ask a question, and out of that question, you're going to have more questions. And if you're dedicated to this, you're going to continue to always have more questions. Now, Kofi, I know you read a lot, bro. Now, have you ever read a book and been like, I don't have no questions about nothing I read in this book?
I've never been like that. I have questions going into the book. I have questions finishing up the book.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. Man, and that's why, you always keep your notebooks and stuff handy, or have something you can dictate your ideas into, man, because it never stops, and you have to know when to stop. So when you get to a point where you don't know what to do, you may have to consult your sign list. You might have to consult your other resources. You may have to ask a classmate or a teacher, but you got to stop, right? And these kind of things are important, because if you don't stop and you just keep going, you're going to find yourself in a real bad situation, and you ain't going to know where you turned around at, right? So it's like getting lost on a back road somewhere. You don't keep driving, and you go 50 miles and now you don't know anybody. You don't know any landmarks or any of that stuff, right? You got to stop when you know you're in trouble, right? And number 6 is learning in groups is the African standard. Everything we do is by committee, right? So, and, I suspect that the Medew Netcher was created, by committee. It was a bunch of people, not just like one person, and that it was happening over the course of several years, when we look at the development of it and what more than likely happened, it probably was just a bunch of people realizing that they had a necessity and then working at it till they got it the way they wanted it, so this is one of those things, like if you're an autodidact, you're going to hit a wall. And this is one of the benefits of actually having a teacher, right?
Autodidact.
Yep.
For the listening audience, for people that may not know, you use the word autodidact. What does autodidact mean?
Oh, that means that you teach yourself.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm stopping you because I know sometimes people be like, what did he say? Because I know when we come on here and we have discussions and dialogues and such and thing, our counterparts can follow along, but and we always get in this perception when we go live and we have an audience, the audience know exactly what we're talking about, because we having a dialogue, we know, but the people on the outside, we're the people that's listening on the other end of the camera, right? And they may not know exactly what we're talking about. So I mean, don't get aggravated with me if I just stop you and say,
no. No. I mean, that's how you have to do it that way, bro. I mean, because that's what we're here for. We're here for the people, because every time you go live, whatever it is you're talking about is somebody's first time hearing it. You always got to think of them people, right? So, that's how it is, and the number 7 is the purpose of African education systems is to make fully realized human beings. That is of the utmost importance, like with the Spearmasters initiative that you have, right? You go and study any African education system, and that's one of the things people always be like, well, how does the Medew Netcher help me pay my rent? And how does that help me do it? It's like, well, somebody would have to tell you that that's what it does. And then if someone tells you that, that's an intelligent question to ask, right? But I never said the Medew Netcher help you pay the rent if you learn how to read and write it. I never said that. So you'd have to talk to somebody who actually made that claim and ask them that question, right? But one of the benefits of it is that you have direct access to an African education system, right? That has an abundance of material culture that you can actually go into and access. That's actually really important, whether people think it is or not. I happen to think it's fundamentally important. So that's also one of the reasons why, I study this language the way I do, and I might have, did I take that slide out? And then I'm gonna close this joint up in just a second. I just wanted to deal with what we don't do at the school. First of all, everybody's welcome. We don't care anything about, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your employment status, financial status, special needs. If you trying to do the work, we need you. So we welcome you with open arms. And, that's what Sheikh Djed called for us to do, because he knew it was an all hands on deck situation, So what we don't do is we don't do the ancient alien, extraterrestrial light bulbs and airplanes and all of that. Hebrews building stone structures, the Exodus myth, legend origins of Kemet in the Levant, heavy Levantine influence, Medew Netcher being born out of Sumerian writing, the Emerald Tablets, Hermetics, Atlantis, Anunnaki, Nibiru, and all of that, chakras, Near Eastern, New Age stuff, dynastic race theory, and any tomfoolery that I missed, we don't do that either, right? And the approach that we use is cultural and linguistic, and we center the studies on Kemet in its Africanity, right? We use the culture of Kemet to determine the proper perspective, and the standard method of study that we utilize is interdisciplinary, right? So we consult other African thought systems, languages, and cultures. We do not separate Kemet from the rest of Africa, and we definitely don't slight the rest of Africa in order to make Kemet be something great. Like, that's people that come in like that, you're probably going to get burned up in the first go round, because you'll find that is just absolutely not useful, and it's not useful in your personal life either, you know. So that's pretty much how we do that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna close out the screen share. Where did we go? All right. So where's the StreamYard joint at? I'm sorry, y'all. My tab hygiene is not all that great sometimes.
You good? You good? I done removed it out of the studio.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. You good, man? We appreciate that, man. Like I said,
Yeah.
man, demonstration beats conversation. You know, anytime.
Every time. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So, man, you know, going back, let's talk a minute. How was it studying, man, up under Rkhty Amen, man, and how long were those classes? I know when we was in class, we did with Wu Jiao. Oh man, this been 2015. I think we did every Sunday. I think it was might have been a 12-week class. I can't quite remember. I think it was like 3 months. So we met like every Sunday. And you know, those classes, I learned a lot, not even just with Kemet. I just learned a lot about Africa, because 2015, I had just started becoming aware, just started reading books late 2013, early 14, right? So I still was, you know, wet behind the ears on a lot of stuff. So in those sessions that we would have, even after class, we would build and we would talk about Kemet, but we'll talk about Africa in general and the concepts of Africa and perspectives, and so forth, man. So, you know, how was it studying up under Rkhty Amen, man? And how long are the classes when you took it, and how long is the process? Just walk that, and then just walk us through the process now for anybody that want to come to y'all institution to learn. You know, walk us through.
Yeah. Generally speaking, it's different now because we have a different class structure now. Like Brother Djed teaches a course where you basically get acclimated to the writing system. So you do like writing drills, and you learn how to spell words and what different things like the determinatives, or, you know, as it's known now, contemporary stuff, classifiers. You learn about all of that, and then you get grammar towards the end, and it kind of gets you ready for Baba Banachi's class. But when I was going,
all right, hold on, my bad. You know, determinatives.
Yeah.
Determinatives, like that's very important. That's very important. Right. So you saying, and I didn't know Djed was teaching a class until I went back on the website last week, and I seen Djed on there, man. Peace to Djed, man. And you mentioned he's getting you ready, right? So the determinatives, what are the determinatives, right? For people that may not know what the determinatives, they are always at the end of a sentence, right? So can you explain that a little bit, then go on? I'm sorry, man. It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
Too, man.
No, that's cool. It's cool. No need to apologize. Yeah. Determinatives. You'll see them also referred to as classifiers in more recent literature, but determinatives, they terminate a word, right? Because Medew Netcher, generally speaking, it transcribes just the consonants. So in order for you to know what word it is, you have to have something that indicates what it is, right? So it's like for example, if you were to use the consonant sequence THR, right, in English, that could be 3. It could be there, as in location. It could be there as in they are, the contraction. It could be there as in possession, but you have no way of knowing which one it is, right? Because what's going to tell you that is where the what vowels there are, right? So, it's the same thing in pretty much all languages. When you have those consonant clusters there, the vowels tell you how to pronounce it, but it also tells you which words you're talking about, right? Because you put certain stresses on certain sounds. So in Medew Netcher, you put an image at the end of a word, and it gives you like a classification for where that word falls, and it tells you which word it is and how to properly translate it. So it's so that's the purpose of them in the writing, which is why you start out like in the middle period this is pretty much the standard, right? You start in the middle period of the language, because you have like the old, you have the what they call the archaic, then you have the old, then you have the middle, then you have the late, right? So we tend to start with the middle period, because that's when the language kind of blossoms and the determinatives become like one of the main features of the language, and they're ubiquitous with all of the words. Whereas in Old Kingdom, they only really give them to you when it's necessary, right? So there's lots of words that just don't have determinatives, and it's harder to translate stuff. Then that's my favorite period, the pre-dynastic stuff and the Old Kingdom stuff. So that's kind of where I am most of the time. But if you try to transition and start there, we don't recommend that, right? So when you go to college, and it's because of the lack of determinatives. So when you go to college, they do the same thing. They start you with the middle period. So, and if you get good with the middle period, you can go back to the old stuff, or you can go to the late stuff if you want, right? Because it changes, the language changes over time. So the determinatives, in the middle period, they're defined almost always. So it's easier to get your vocabulary up, to understand the grammar concepts and all of that. But yeah.
Could you go ahead out? We was talking about. I'm sorry, I threw you way
cool.
out. What I'm saying?
Cool.
Yeah, I was just talking about
cool.
Your experience working with her, and then the process. What I'm saying now for people, if they wanted to get in, what that process look like, or the steps look like to actually enroll and take the classes.
Yeah. Well, you go to the the website. We have the classes there that you can sign up for. The prerequisite is Djed's course, which is the foundations course. So now if you've studied before and you've been under a teacher or something like that, you can probably test out of that class. But if you're coming in off the street, this is where we start people. You get your feet wet, and you develop an understanding of the writing system and how it functions. Then you go to you get the heavy grammar, the beginner's grammar constructions. So that's how we do it now. When I was coming through, we didn't have that. You jumped straight into boot camp and it was off to the races, right? So you have more opportunities to learn, and you get the more immediate attention for that particular aspect of it, as opposed to like learning it as you go, right? And a lot of students come in and they're really intimidated, right? Because the Medew Netcher, it can be intimidating to some people, right? So we decided to do that so that it takes the edge off, right? So you can concentrate on actually learning the grammar, and it makes you more comfortable, and that it seems to be working. It's been a big success so far. And so so it's pretty much, we don't really do like, I don't know, like how like you go to school and you get A, B, C, D, or F or whatever. We don't really do that. You take tests at the end of each class, and the instructor kind of knows where you are, and they may tell you need a little more work on this before you can go to the next level, or you're good, you can go to the next level. But the people that may need more help, that's kind of where I come in, because I work with them in the meantime and get them ready for the next level. And then, so that's how we do it now. Like when I was coming through, there were no tutors or anything like that. Like I'm the first one, right? So, because when I finished, I stayed. Like I didn't go, I stayed. So, so they, my position at the school kind of evolved into that, right? So, if if you get on and you get into class, not so much with sbAty, because I haven't had to help really any of his students, but like because it's either that's one of those things, you either get it or you don't. But like when it comes to the grammar and stuff like that, pretty much everybody comes to see me before they go to the next level now.
Okay, for sure. I kind of like that process. I kind of like that process and that still. And you mentioned the grammar. I didn't even know Ankh Ra had a grammar book. I'm familiar with Ankh Ra. I got quite a few of his books on one of my bookshelves in another room in there. And I didn't know he had a grammar. I didn't know Ankh Ra had a grammar. You said it's not a technical grammar book he has?
It's kind of like it's basically like he doesn't have exercises in it. It's like he explains the grammar concepts to you, but he does it in a way that it's kind of like reading like the books you guys write. That I tell you all the time, you guys' books are really, really easy to read.
Right. It's a purpose why we do that. We instruct them and format them in that way. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's really, really easy to read. His grammar book is like that, right? So he doesn't have like the exercises and stuff like the other ones do, but he explains like all of the grammar stuff, and it's really, really easy to read. Like I said, it sounds like, it's like we having this conversation now. That's how his book reads, right?
Okay.
So, and yeah, I go back to it often, just to kind of make sure that I'm conveying things in that kind of way, because that's what I want to do, right? I don't want to freak you out with a lot of technical terminology. And even though that terminology is important, because when you're looking for resources, you have to know what to look for, right? So it's important to know that, but when I'm actually instructing, I don't really get into that. I try to walk people through it, so I try to use language as plain as I possibly can,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to add that to my library, man. I'm gonna have to get the book. Man, woo, for time. Time is fly. We've been an hour and a half, man. I got, 2 more questions, man, and we gonna end the show, man. What, and this was a question, like we tried this, man, several months ago, but we had technical difficulties on my end, so we weren't able to get through 30 minutes of the first interview we did, right? And so this question I had then, because this derogatory term comes up, like it seems like this derogatory term comes up like every year and a half. So what are your thoughts on those who created the term Egyptology? What are your thoughts on that when you hear people, not Egyptomaniac, I mean. So what are your thoughts on that when you hear people using this term they created, Egyptomaniac? It's a derogatory term that they use toward people who are actually studying ancient Egypt or studying Kemet, right? Those who are into the language and reading the language and trying to clean up some of the lookership, because a lot of times people look at things and they interpret or insert their own interpretations on it, and that's not really what it means. So what's your thoughts on that, man? This term Egyptomaniac, man?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I put it like this, right? There's probably times where that kind of terminology to refer to somebody is probably valid, but you have to take that on a case-by-case basis, right? So, it's just like anything else. And, we tend to have a tendency to do that, right? We group these people who do this or this, and then these people who do this or this, and all of that. It's not really helpful, Yeah, Zane Montego said, don't forget the hoteps. Don't get me started on that, man. Like, matter of fact, I'll touch on that right quick, and then I'll go back to the Egyptomaniac, right? You wouldn't tell a Jewish person, for example, or refer to them as a shalom as an insult. They would tell you that it was anti-Semitic to do that, right? And they would be right, right? So if you refer to a person who studies Kemet as a hotep, what is that? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's anti-African. Like, there's no question about that, right?
For sure.
Yeah, it's no question about that. It's anti-African. But with the Egyptomania thing, I guess it probably, when people say that, they talk about people who just is Kemet all the time, and I mean, hey, it's okay to study Kemet. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. So, like, it's okay. It's only a problem where you elevate Kemet in a way that you take it out of Africa, right? That's a problem. Like, if it's just Kemet and then it's like later for the rest of Africa or whatever, I think that's a problem, right? I've been fortunate where I haven't really run into a lot of people like that. But, like I said, like, I don't have a show like how you have a show here. And, you guys and the other groups and stuff who have these channels and they pump out information and stuff. So I don't run into that a lot, but I understand it. But yeah, it can't, you have to take that with the person who's doing it and talk to them, right? Maybe they just need a hand on their back. Maybe they're misguided, sometimes you gotta do that and be like, look, man, this is, you have to do that sometimes. It's okay. But, it's just, I don't know, man. I think we're too quick to kind of chastise one another sometimes, because, we'll come up with all different types of creative ways to do it. That's just, we're creative people, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And we could dig down deep for an insult and just, it'll just be, and the insult would just be amazing, right? But yeah, I just don't, it's one thing if you play and, because that's kind of what we do. We bust one another's chops and stuff, just joking around and stuff, right? That's fine. That's how we cultivate relationships, especially those of us, who have our roots in West Africa. That's part of how we function as a society, those joking relationships and stuff. But when it gets to be the other side, or, just because you don't agree with a person and now they're this because you don't agree with them, like, I think that's crazy. And I don't advocate for any of that, at all. I mean, shoot, I study Kemet, but like I said, I got to study every corner of Africa, right? For what I do. So, and it's not to the exclusion of anything else. I love the fact that, my ancestry comes from West Africa, the Congo and all of that, and, it's been an honor to be connected to those people in some kind of way. And wanting to know more about them, it's been a thrill of my life. So, but yeah, for, people just throwing it out willy-nilly, yeah, that's a problem. You have to kind of direct that at who it's directed to, and just deal with it like that.
Most definitely. Man, my last question, man. You mentioned the spear masters, right? So we have something where we created the Spear Masters Institution. And this Spear Masters Institution, the same thing like my Ubuntu Youth Foundation, it's like working with the youth, right? Working with the young ones and then working with preteens, right? So the Spear Masters Institution, I created a coloring book, a learning coloring book. And matter of fact, let me get it. I knew that was gonna happen.
I actually have a coloring book. I think it's at my office. I don't see it over here. Yeah.
I'm just dropping books left and right. But this is the coloring book right here. Spear Masters Institution Coloring Book 1. And it has characters Albino, Cujo. I created Albino, Cujo, and what's the other one? And Cheeky, right? And they are actually helping your children learn about the different animals in Africa. As they color them, they also giving educating them about this animal and what this animal does and the characteristic of this animal. And then this in here is like for the preteens, but this also can be for the adults, right? So this is something that you was involved with. This is called Spear Masters Comprehension Book, right? Because we're trying to raise the comprehension level of our children, but also as the adults. So we got a lot of essays in here, and after you read the essays, questions following behind that, right? So You wrote an essay in the Spearmaster Comprehension of Volume 1, Concise Ontology, Species Evolutions in the Eye Autonomy of Alaba. That might be
Alba, yeah.
Alba. Can
Yeah.
you talk about the essay and your process behind that, right? And that and the more and now that I'm getting a better understanding through this interview and just other stuff that I did doing, these interviews, I try to get on my journalistic thing. So I try to go dig up things, go watch interviews, talk to people who may have been around, just to get a little bit more so I can, be more comfortable with the interview, make you more comfortable when you come on a platform, right? So this just makes it just more for you to even write something about, what you did on there. But kind of talk about, man, your process and writing your essay in our Spear Masters Institution book.
Oh yeah. You know what, Brother Kofi, I really enjoyed doing that for y'all, man. I really, really did. And a part of it was, it's like, because when you were talking about it, and you were saying like there's a particular age group that you were trying to reach, right? And the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, we have stuff for like young children, right? We have those kinds of things. We have things for like scholars and like adults, with the more heady material and stuff like that. But that particular age group, like from like 10 to like the high school kids and then like getting into college and all of that, they tend to kind of get left out, right, when it comes to like the reading materials, right? So when you put that out, I was like, yeah, that's something I want to try to contribute to. And I think that, one of the things that I always try to do is I try to demystify the Medew Netcher and stuff like that, right? Because it's practical. The people need to communicate, right? So they develop ways to communicate that, that are important to them. So I decided to write about the owl because, like those owls, like, I grew up around, like I said, I grew up on a river basin. So, I saw owls and stuff all the time, and they've always really interested me. And the more that I studied Africa and how owls play into, ideas about the world and stuff that we see in different parts of Africa and everything, I was like, maybe I want to write about that, but I want to try to demystify that M symbol in the Medew Netcher because, it's the only one where the animal's facing you, right? And so I was like, okay, let me go back and look at some of this Egyptology material to see if anybody has ever explained why that is. And the more that I looked, nobody had ever really explained it, right? So that just led me to believe either they didn't know or they didn't care, right? So then I looked at the other side of it with all of the foolishness, right? And all of this stuff about how the owl is facing you. So, when it can look into your soul, and when you die, it's da-da-da-da-da and all this other kind of stuff. And I was like, man, this doesn't make any sense, So I was like, okay, well, let me try to get this straight, right, while I'm doing this, right? And it's really simple. If you understand the anatomy of the owl, you'll know that owls don't have eyeballs. Now, I know that sounds strange to people, right? But, they have like the cones in their eyes, right? It's shaped like a something I can describe. It's shaped like a, when you have a roll of toilet paper and you have a cardboard tube, that's what their retinas are shaped like. So they have these bones, these like round bones that fit over their eyes in the front, because if they didn't have that, their eyes would literally come out of their heads, right? And the reason why the owl is facing you is because, number one, the prominent head features of the owl are the eyes, because its beak is really small, and a lot of times it's covered with like down and feathers. So you can't really see the beak. When you look at the other animals, you can see the beak and you can tell what bird it is based on the shape of the beak. But when you look at an owl, you can't do that because its facial features are obstructed from the side. So you have to show it facing forward So, you can see the eyes and you even see the way the beak's shaped and everything, like it's facing down, right? Because it points down like that because it's really close to the face. And then, the owls tend to have their skulls are kind of sunken in and the wind kind of goes around them. So when an owl can be flying next to you and you wouldn't even know it until you see it, right? I've had that happen to me many a day, like walking home and coming home to eat and stuff. And we walking through the woods and an owl swoops down and gets a squirrel or something like that, and you don't even hear it. Like it's kind of it'll freak you out a little bit because you can't hear the wings flapping, right? And that's the reason why, because of the way the air moves around its body. It's just one of its adaptations, And so I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can kind of explain that and then talk about the evolution of the owl and how, and all of that, right? And it was a challenge trying to get it into one page, right? Because I know you only wanted like one page of information. So I was like, okay,
one or three, and I think it was like the maximum we wanted was like 3 pages. I think.
Yeah. So I just kind of took it as because I know some people had 2.5, like that. But I was like, let me see if I can do this on just one piece of paper. Because if I can do it on one page, I know I probably would have explained it well, right? So trying to get into all of the technical terminology stuff, like I said, I try not to do that. I just try to get down to the basic concept. But I had to do it in that particular case because it gives people something that they can go and look for, right? So like I'm not making this stuff up, right? You can go and source this material. So you need to have those terminologies and all of that. So hopefully I was successful. I don't know, you just do the best you can, but I was glad to be a part of that, man. And that was my first published work, so I'm indebted to you all just for that, because y'all are the ones that got my work out there,
We definitely appreciate it. We definitely appreciate y'all can get that on Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com as well. All of our publications, we direct you directly to our website. So to support us, you go to our website. Don't go to Barnes and Nobles and Books a Millions and Target.com and Amazon. You support us directly by going to our website, Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com, to get your various publications. Again, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, man, because I reached out to a lot of people, in particular, to do that and explain the importance of doing that. And we had, we had. I think I might have reached out to maybe 20 people, and I think I had maybe 9 or 10 people, maybe 9 that answered the call that came through that didn't BS me, went straight on and did it. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate, man, you for doing it, man. I appreciate the essay you did, and I definitely, man, I appreciate this conversation, bro. I appreciate this interview, man. As I stated earlier, I kind of went back and forward about this being you being the last warrior scholar uh on or me ending the warrior scholar, you being the last guest for this. But man, this was an interesting, man, great discussion. I learned a lot, you know what I'm saying, just listening to you talk about certain things, even though I studied the Medew Netcher, but you well more advanced. You are an instructor and a teacher, right? And I'm still a student, right? I never advanced and went on to become a teacher or anything. But I mean, if you put anything in front of me, I'm gonna translate it, transliterate it and translate it. You know what I'm saying? Break out my tools and I'm gonna go to work. You know what I'm saying? And translate it. Wait a minute, that ain't what that's saying. So, keep up the good work that you're doing. You and um, Rkhty Amen, sbAty, and I don't want what's the elder name again? I will wear
Banachi.
Banachi. I always say
Banachi,
Banachi.
yeah.
I will wear Banachi or Seba Banachi. So y'all keep up the great work, man. Over there, man. I appreciate you again, man. Hopefully in the near future, man. I hope we be looking something coming from you, man. I mean, some type of publications, some type of article, man, on just your take of things. I just like your take of things when it comes to the Medew Netcher. Like you're definitely, like I'm saying, you're into the nature aspect. You know, you want to understand it, and that makes sense in order for you to dang, hold on. You know, to really understand it and break it down fully, man, you know, you got to study, you know, nature. You got to look at those natural phenomena. You got to study the habits and the characteristics of those animals and so forth, man. So, you know, man, great job, man. Great job, man, with that, man. You make me want to go back and take the class again. Hey, man, I need, you know, to take the class again, you know.
Yeah.
I had a certificate, man. I don't know what I did with my certificate, but when I graduated from Wu Zhao's class, he gives his students a certificate. You know what I'm saying? You have to be, you know, you get through, you have to be just like a regular class. You have to be tested on this information. And once you test it, you know, he will give out a certificate. So I had it framed in a gold frame, but man, that's been since 2015. And
Right.
I done moved twice. It's probably boxed up in one of them boxes, but I know this way. It's in one of those boxes. I need to get out and put in my new office space that I got right here. I'm matter of fact, I'm gonna do that because I've been decorating my office. I still got stuff I gotta do in here, so I gotta get that in. But again, man, I appreciate you, bro. Man, I appreciate, man, the conversation. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you blocking out a few hours, you know what I'm saying, just to have this discussion with you. I appreciate everybody that's in the chat, people going back and forth. I know people learned a lot in this chat. I see you had two of your people in the chat, Monica and Sarita was in the chat. You know, shout out to those sisters as well. And
yeah. Monica is the oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say Monica is the webmaster at the school. She's also an advanced student.
Okay.
So yeah, the advanced classes just started. So yeah, when you get into the advanced class, you have to do a project to pass and get your certificate and everything. So you know, we're trying to figure out like what the students are gonna do for their projects and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Brother Kofi Duau. Like I said, it's a pleasure and a privilege. You know, if anything I could do for you or Kofi Piesie research team or the Masi, y'all got me. And you know, you were talking about doing that this Spear Masters Volume 2. I've already written the article for submission. You know,
okay.
So yeah, so
you know what? And now that I'm glad you said that. Then, since you already got it, I'm gonna start. What is this? November, sometime in November, I'm gonna start reaching out to some people so we can do a volume 2, man. And the goal is now, because I like to have set dates. You know, a lot of people don't like to set dates, but I do that because it helps me and keeps me in line, man. And I try to meet those dates, because if I don't, you know, for me, you know, I can, and for other people, you know, you can lag and it'll never get done. But if you set that guideline and that goal, that's just how I am, and I work like that. I work better under pressure. So I'm gonna do that in November, and then probably like January, the end of January, probably release it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. I gotta edit it and stuff, but it's ready to go. Yeah. If it gets selected,
oh man, stop saying is it gonna be selected. He's done data, brother. You know it's done data. Ain't it gonna be,
you know? Yeah, you know, yeah. Is I wrote about how termites invented the air conditioning system. So, you know, yeah. So it's
the termites. Okay.
You know the termite mounds. You know they have.
That's discussion to have, because I build on that. Like you mentioned, a book on the pyramids. I got a few books on the pyramids. I did 2 presentations about the pyramids. And I showed the termite mounds. I show how, you know, as we look in this Western mind, we think that we are superior to the animal life, right? Superior. We don't understand that we learn from nature. that's where we got our education from nature. So we looked and studied animals and their characteristics. So I talked about building in mud. You know, when we talk about the stealth pyramids or the evolution or before what they was building in mud. They was looking at termites, these mounds. So man, that's gonna be a great one, bro. Yeah, you got.
Oh yeah.
That's
no question. Yeah. Speaking on that, what you just said, you know, also, you know, in West Africa, you know, you don't really have like the rock formations and the mountain ranges, but you do have these savanna areas where these termite mounds are all over the place, right? And you know, termite mounds, they're not like ant hills. Like the tallest ones, they're like 30, 40 feet tall, right? And in certain parts of West Africa, they're associated with ancestors. So like when you go and you pass a termite mound, you might be walking with a child or something and be like, hey, tell your grandma hello, you know, like that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's actually important, you know, and that's something that you see being associated with, you know, ancestors. These mountains and things like that, you know, are associated with ancestors, and having them buried in caves and at the foots of mountains and all of that kind of stuff. That's a 100% it's an African phenomenon, you know. And in West Africa, they don't have the rock formations the way other places do, but they have the termite mounds though, and it's the same thing.
Most definitely. That's gonna be an excellent read, brother. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you over there. All right, that's gonna be an excellent read. And brother Baraka, shout out to him. He's EY Pele movement. We were just on his platform promoting our modern day Griot and Griottes book last week. So go to his YouTube channel and subscribe and check out that interview, man. He interviewed us last week, man. We had fun too. But he says martial art use animals as styles of nature. Yes, that's correct. They did as well. But man, let's get up off of here, man. Again, man, I appreciate you, man. Give out your handles, man, your social media handles. You know, if people want to reach out to you, man, for anything, man, how can they reach out to you?
You can catch. As a matter of fact, I put it in the private the chat real quick. If you want to put it in the chat, you can. So I don't do a lot of social media.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, because I don't really be on there like that, but I am on there. And I'm gonna put my email, and you can catch me at the school at Djed at MedewNetcher.com. And any questions you got for me, you can catch me there. And you know, if you just want to email the school just to ask some basic questions or whatever, you can do that as well. And I'm gonna put the school site name. I'll put that in the chat as well. But you know, any questions you got, you know, I don't think any question is a dumb question. Just remember the stuff we told you we don't deal with, right? Don't come at me with none of that. Don't do that to me. But yeah, but you know, but yeah, Kofi, it was a pleasure, man. I appreciate you having me on again, man. And yeah, I'm thankful. And yeah, I enjoyed myself, man.
No doubt, man. Man, we'll see y'all when we see y'all. I'll play a song we'll end it with another song by Mboka-Family, man. Let me go to the community, right? And we out of here, man.
It's over. Yeah. Mboka-Family, man. You know it. It's so. Shout out to United Front. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Cognitive dissonance, colonized indigenous minds, bodies, innocence, European participants, Jesus no deliverance, rebellion with militants, culturally different, rape, murder incidents, justice no equivalence, lyrical abolitionists, ancestral reverence, soul music the resonance, mind sharp like elephants, melanin glow, elegance, imperial pestilence, governmental negligence, miracle black excellence, manipulate the elements, formulate with eloquence, bars of social relevance, United States decadence, African centered preference, my people set the precedence, MCE the delegates, go and check the references, get it out the sediment, evaporate impediments, this that shit excrement, our story indefinite, saying cover by increments, body temple instrument tuned into the infinite, over.